Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV today. AEW kicks off the 2020 wrestling year with its homecoming edition of Dynamite on TNT, and it was exactly that. It was a dynamite show full of great pro wrestling, and they seem to be righting the ship and doing some things and making some changes that are going to put AEW in a better direction going forward as this wrestling year comes to its new beginning. And AEW is going to be leading the charge. And we are going to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you're watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's AEW Dynamite Review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
AEW ended 2019 on a pretty controversial note, and it seems like they scrapped everything that they were thinking of doing going forward as it comes to where they were doing with the Dark Order. Right? We ended 2019, the Dark Order was attacking everybody at the end of the show. They beat up the Elite, they beat Dusty Rhodes, they beat up everybody. There was that infamous botch that was all over Twitter that caused the Young Bucks to leave Twitter altogether due to the tremendous amount of negative feedback that they got from the fans. And it seems as if they just decided, you know what, screw all that, we are going to do something different. And they changed the show a lot tonight. They structured it much better. They didn't try to do too many things. They understand that you don't necessarily have to see everybody on every single show. So it was done very well. The wrestling tonight was very, very good, which is the main reason why we tune in. Anyway, we want to see some great pro wrestling, and AEW provides us with that. From bell to bell, we got some of the best action we have seen, better than most of the shows that we got all of last year, and that's the AEW shows included. This is one of my favorite shows that they have ever produced, and it's because of the way it came across. Now, that does not mean that it is not without criticism. My first major thing that I would have to bring to your attention is I understand when it comes to the women's division that Rio is adorable, right? And she's Kenny Omega's girlfriend or something, I think I've heard, and that would make sense on why she's getting such a major push going forward. But when I look at the match that we got tonight, a great Fatal 4-Way match for the Women's Championship, I don't understand why Hikaru Shida is not the face of this division. Holy shit, this girl is awesome. This match gave me such a tremendous appreciation for what she could do. You watch a girl like that, and she's going up against Nyla Rose in this matchup at certain points, and she's picking her up and tossing her around, and she's just got something about her. She's almost got like that it factor that you just can't teach to somebody. And to me, Rio, as talented as she is in the ring, she's great at what she does, but as far as a character and a portrayal as a champion, she just is kind of boring. She's just boring. Shida is great. She's way better to me as the face of the division than Britt Baker or any of the other women that they have right now. And if you think about it, imagine if this women's division was being headlined by matches that were featuring like Shida versus Kong. Instead of having Kong wasted being a henchman for Brandy Rhodes collecting hair specimens, why isn't Kong the champ and we're watching Shida being built up in her rise against Kong? Take notes from what TNA did back in the day when they actually started the women's revolution. If you think about it, when Gail Kim and Awesome Kong were tearing it down all over the world, you could redo that right now. You have the talent to do it. You could even do that with Rio, and it would probably make more sense. But Hikaru Shida was so impressive tonight. So super impressive tonight. And as much as I criticize Nyla Rose for the obvious reasons, and she sticks out like a sore thumb in this matchup, even here, when you see what the girls can do against her, and how she's able to sell for these women, and it comes off looking more realistic than you would expect going in. Hats off to her as well for a great performance. This was a great Fatal 4-Way. I really enjoyed it. I just don't understand Rio as the champion. And then you have a segment tonight where Britt Baker Comes in and she's all pissed off at Rio because Rio keeps going away and coming back, and Britt Baker's there every week. She's showing up sick. She's doing her dental practice on the side. But I don't understand this. Is Britt Baker going heel? Or is she just super frustrated that she lost this match? But why would she come at the champion that way? It's a little bit confusing. I don't understand. Don't they have enough heel females already to be opposite the baby faces in this division? I don't know. But these are just minor criticisms. At the end of the day, the show as a whole was very entertaining, and it was very, very good. I want to stress that so you guys don't start bombing me with thumbs down just because I have a few little criticisms about how they're doing certain things. Another thing is the Arn Anderson situation. Arn Anderson is now the head coach of the Nightmare family, and that sounds kind of cool when you think about it. He's not going to be a manager in the traditional sense. He seems to be like an NFL head coach. You know, he's got notes, and he's going to cover his mouth when he's talking to Cody on the sidelines, and he's going to be giving signals to Cody to help him, like he's tapping the knee to let him know to get the knees up, which was a really cool touch. But they need to be careful. You need to be careful here because the babyface manager can easily become one of the most boring and useless things in the history of pro wrestling. Think about some of the successful babyface managers there's been, and you can't even say Captain Lou, because Captain Lou started as one of the best heel managers ever, and the only reason Captain Lou prospered as a babyface manager was because he was going up against teams that had a heel manager to match his personality. So most often it was Captain Lou's team versus Freddie Blassie's team or something like that. And in the case of Arn Anderson, you have that possibility here too. You can have Cody with Arn going up against Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard, in which all of these things will make sense. You got the two former members of the Horsemen with their predecessors or their proteges doing, and that could get very interesting. And there's a lot of story to be told there. But just having the babyface manager just there helping his wrestler win kind of makes it feel like a heel gimmick. That's a heel manager thing. So you got to be careful here. While I didn't hate it, you just have to be careful going forward. You know who else I could bring to your attention? If you're an old head like me, you remember Oliver Humperdinck. Remember him managing Bam Bam Bigelow when Bam Bam Bigelow was made into a babyface? And how good was that? It was awful. The man didn't make any sense. And it didn't need to be. And maybe in this case, Arn Anderson doesn't need to be there. But they did start it off in a good way. They just have to tread carefully going forward. And if that's the end game, Arn Anderson's guy versus Tully's guy, and Cody and Shawn Spears putting each other over in a huge feud over the course of 2020 with two Horsemen managers, I'm in. You could take my money for that right now, and I hope that's the way they go. But we had this rematch between Cody tonight and Darby Allin, which was fantastic. It wasn't anywhere near as good as their 20-minute draw, obviously, but this was good. Cody Rhodes gets a much-needed win, getting back on track. Darby Allin looked fantastic in a losing effort, but Arn Anderson helping Cody Rhodes to get the win. Like I said, skirting that heel line of getting things done, but Cody is so over, and Arn was over in this moment that nobody's looking at it that way, probably except for me. So just need to bring it to your attention, but it's something we got to keep our eye on. As for right now, it's fine. Cody back on the winning track. Darby Allin looking great. Can't wait to see what else 2020 has in store for these two guys. They got tremendous chemistry. They work so well together. And Darby Allin, his whole look, his persona, the way he wrestles, he could get over big in 2020 if they do the right things with him. And following this loss with Cody Rhodes now, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I hope that they don't keep just having him wrestle Cody. It would seem kind of counterproductive to keep going down that road. But he needs to start winning now as well. You need to start making new superstars. Darby Allin is already a superstar, and you want to make that star grow brighter. So you got to start giving him high-profile matches against high-profile guys. Maybe that mid-card championship is a lot more needed than we think, so that you can give it to a guy like Darby Allin while Chris Jericho is on one of the runs of a lifetime. Because when do you think Darby Allin's really going to be able to be the AEW champion right now? It's going to be a while. So that new championship is direly needed just for guys like Darby Allin to get over and have something to put them over that hump and give them that real superstar feel. We seen an interview with SCU backstage. SCU calling out everybody in the tag team division because they are still on top, and that's fine. But the interesting thing that happened here was Sammy Guevara coming in and talking shit to Christopher Daniels, saying all he's got is wrinkles. It's like Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian got those champions. All you got is a lot of wrinkles on your face, and people say that Christopher Daniels can't go anymore. And we are now headed towards a match next week with Christopher Daniels versus Sammy Guevara, and this was very well done. The promo was good. Backstage promos being done right, making something happen that matters, giving us anticipation for something coming next week. Very well done. We are going into the AEW Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way. This was supposed to be a one-on-one match for the number one contender, Chris Statlander, to be getting her shot at the championship, but due to prior commitments in another wrestling organization she was involved with, she had to keep her word and show up there, and so she did just that, and AEW gave us this Fatal 4-Way to kick off the year instead. Now, who gets a championship matchup when they are returning from a suspension? When have you ever heard that before? Well, apparently Nyla Rose does. And while I don't really care because the match was just fine, that really just doesn't make sense now, does it? This girl was suspended, and they made mention of the fact of the reasons why she was suspended. And now she's been gone since then, and she's coming back from suspension, and she's in this Fatal 4-Way with a championship title shot. That doesn't really make much sense. But other than that, this was a very good matchup. As we already made mention, Hikaru Shida was fantastic in this matchup. She went through a table. And you know why in this matchup, the women were actually able to go through tables? Because Nyla Rose is strong as a man. She's as strong as a man. And so she can forcibly put anything through a table. That's why it can't happen in the WWE, and that's why it does happen in AEW. And for the fact that Shida came out of that and was still going in this matchup and had enough to deliver some pretty high-octane offense, that's really impressive to me. All four women looked great in this matchup. I did not like the finish, and I don't mind that Rio is still the champion. Obviously, they have this big-time matchup for Chris Statlander next week, so we weren't going to see a title change at all here. But I didn't like the way it came about. The match was so good for it to just end like that with a kind of a weird roll-up, and Britt Baker definitely had a whole lot more energy left in her to be able to kick out of that, and she didn't. But that was the finish they chose to go with, and I don't really agree with the finish, but the match was very, very good. And then after the match, Nyla Rose attacked the champ. She attacked Rio. She set up a table in the ring. She put Rio on the table and then hit a tremendous body splash, collapsing that woman into a splintering table. And it was brutal. And it looked awful. Not awful bad. I mean, it looked awful to take. It looked awfully painful, is probably what I should have said there. And this is interesting, because what it sets up is the fact that Rio may not be at 100% when she steps in the ring with Statlander next week, and Statlander is somewhat embroiled in some sort of a thing with Brandy and Kong, who thankfully we didn't get to see tonight, but hopefully they don't play a part next week. But we'll have to wait and see, as next week Rio is going to defend her championship against the number one contender, and after taking this table spot, may be primed to lose that belt and cause Chris Statlander to make a little bit of history at the beginning of the year. There were so many audio issues. Every time they went to the back for a promo, the microphones would go out, it would be too low, it would drop out. We didn't really hear too much of what was said, and there wasn't much said by Joey Janela as we went to the back to see him. He was getting ready to say something, and then he got hit in the balls by Penelope Ford, who was there with Kip Sabian, and then they just walked off after sneak attacking Joey Janela and hitting him in his bad boys. Then we go to a Dark Order video package, the only mention of the Dark Order on the whole entire night. Apparently Uno is addressing somebody called the Exalted One. And this got my interest because, as we have said on this show last year, I didn't want to see Evil Uno as the face of the Dark Order. It definitely looked like they were setting it up to be that way. But having a higher power in this situation definitely makes it a whole lot more interesting. He claims to have taken care of the Elite, which obviously is not the case. You beat them down last time you were in the ring with them, but you didn't eliminate them, so that was kind of weird. But it's interesting. And that's all we can ask for. It's interesting. There's going to now be a mystery person, and we know it's not going to be Vince this time, but gives you a reason to be interested in the Dark Order still, and at least they are not the main event. AEW listening to the fan base, everybody was all over it. Why is the Dark Order taking out everybody? It doesn't make sense. And now I guess they're being relegated back to a lower station, which is fine. And now I can maybe get behind it, depending on where they go from it. I don't know. We'll see. It's not one of the best storylines that they got going, but at least it's interesting. Jon Moxley defeated Trent in a great one. I thought this was going to just be another squash match. I thought Moxley was going to go out there and just beat this guy down, maybe do a little spot with the orange one, maybe do a little spot with Chucky. But that's not the case. We got a great match. Trent looked freaking great against Moxley here. This was very high impact, very high octane. Jon Moxley just brings a different kind of intensity to the ring than anybody else in AEW. And Trent was able to go with him step for step. And they pulled off a hell of a matchup. Jon Moxley wins with the paradigm shift at the end. And the number one contender puts over this kid Trent. Like, you even in a losing effort, you cannot deny that Trent looked great. He looks much better than he has before. And that's a credit to Jon Moxley and what he brings to AEW. Sammy Guevara then comes out. And I could have done without all of this. Right? They didn't need him to come out and take people's drinks and eat people's popcorn so that Chris Jericho could be on the Titantron to deliver the promise or the offer that he promised all of us to Jon Moxley. So that kind of sucked. I didn't enjoy it. And maybe it's because I'm not a Sammy Guevara guy. Something about this kid, like, bell to bell, he's really good, and he's a tremendous athlete, but his character, to me, just is cringe. And I can't deal with it. I don't know why. But other than that, he sends it to Jericho, who then wants to address Jon Moxley. He says they have this offer, and they're going to present it to him right now, and the offer is 49% of the Inner Circle LLC. What does 49% of the Inner Circle LLC even mean? I wasn't aware that they were actually an organization. I was not aware that they have money like that. Like, are they a business? What are they selling besides bottles of champagne and t-shirts? I don't know. That doesn't really make sense, but almost 50% controlling stake in the organization, whatever that means. But more importantly to me was the Ford GT. That was a beautiful car with the Vanity Mox license plate. I would have just joined just for the car. But that's just me. It was an interesting offer. It was a little long-winded. Jericho peels off in Moxley's new automobile, leaving Moxley in the ring. And they did a very smart thing. They didn't have Jon Moxley hit the paradigm shift on Sammy Guevara. They didn't have him give his answer tonight. He told us rather, that Chris Jericho he considers a friend and a mentor. And out of respect for Chris Jericho, he's going to take the week, he's going to think about it, and he's going to give him his answer live next week on AEW Dynamite, giving us a reason to tune in. That's how you do these things. Very well done here. And I was into it. Then we had Sammy Guevara versus Dustin Rhodes. Now, the most entertaining thing about this to me was Dustin Rhodes. I just don't... I'm one of the guys that shits on the old guys. I don't like Chris Jericho as the AEW champion at 50 years old. I don't like Rey Mysterio being a United States champion in his 40s. But then you look at Dustin Rhodes, and you look at what this guy can still do in the ring. He's changed his character. He's red dust now. You know, like it's an offshoot of what we're familiar with, but it's still something new. He's the natural Dustin Rhodes. He's got that Darth Maul looking design, and it's cool as shit, man. His character and the way he portrays himself is more unique and stands out and is just way cooler than what almost everybody else is doing. So you got to give the guy credit. And maybe it's just in the genes, man. He's one of the sons of Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest creative minds in all of professional wrestling. You got to think that has to play a part in the reason why a guy like Dustin Rhodes can continue to add to his legacy and not make you... I mean, I look at him and I don't even see a 50-year-old guy. He's just great. The guy's pulling off Canadian destroyers still. And this match with Sammy Guevara was very good. They played off of the broken arm angle. Jake Hager, the man that broke his arm, definitely played a part in this matchup. He came out and gave Sammy Guevara the advantage. He played a part in the matchup in multiple occasions, and it would serve to give Sammy Guevara the win. And now it continues to tell the story. And what we really want to see out of this whole thing is for Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, Red Dust, to get his revenge on Jake Hager. And they're building this story very well. And I enjoyed it. Jen Decker was interviewing Private Party at a bar, and then Hangman Page decided to walk in and help himself. And once again, the audio in this segment was terrible. I could barely hear what anybody was saying. But all I know is that Hangman Page owes Private Party $12 for the whiskey he took from the back. That's the only thing I really heard here. Thankfully, the audio problems did not happen in the ring, because we went to the ring and seen MJF cut his promo and give Cody Rhodes the 3 stipulations that he will need to adhere to in order to have his matchup with Revolution. The match all of he and his Mark little buddies on the internet want the most. MJF is fantastic. This promo was great. I wish he didn't get on the fans as much as he did. Like, he was so intense and so focused on Cody for the majority of this promo that every once in a while he went to the fans and was like, oh, you people just shut up. And meanwhile, they weren't even really making noise. And he didn't do it too much, but he did it enough that I felt like, all right, come on, let's speed this up. Let's get this over with a little bit. But aside from that, the 3 stipulations, very interesting stipulations, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to play out, but they are as follows. Stipulation number 1, they will wrestle at the Revolution pay-per-view as long as Cody Rhodes does not lay a finger on MJF before that show. If he does, there will be no match. Okay, interesting enough. Number 2, Cody has to beat Wardlow in a steel cage. Does he have to do that on Dynamite? Is that going to happen at Revolution before he has to go on and face MJF later that night? Either way, it's going to give MJF a decided advantage, as Cody Rhodes is going to have to go one-on-one with this beast of a man inside of a steel cage whose sole purpose is to destroy Cody Rhodes for his employer, MJF. It's great. Definitely raises the stakes. I just need a little bit more clarity as to how this is going to happen. Is this going to be on the show before? Is this going to be on the go-home show to Revolution? Is this going to happen somewhere along the way? Is it going to happen on that night? We will find out. The most interesting of all of these was stipulation number 3. Cody Rhodes, live on TNT, which means this has got to happen on an episode of Dynamite before we hit the pay-per-view. He has to get on all fours, like a dog, and let MJF whip him 10 times. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to want to do to somebody, and it is so fitting to MJF. I think he doesn't want to have this match with Cody. Obviously, that's the story they want, because he doesn't think... He says he's better than you, and you know it, but he knows that Cody Rhodes might have his number. So he's stacking the deck as hard as he can to maybe try to make this match not happen. It's a great story. It's a great story, because who's going to willingly submit to taking a lashing? I'm not. Yeah, I want to fight you, but I'm not going to let you whip me 10 times with a leather belt beforehand. That's crazy. Obviously, this is the story we are going down. It's going to be an interesting road to this matchup, and all of these things that he named as stipulations have to be adhered to by Cody Rhodes. And does Cody Rhodes want revenge that badly? I believe so. It's going to be an interesting road to Revolution. We go to the back. Jen Decker is interviewing Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus. Once again, the audio was inaudible towards the end of this thing. I couldn't hear what the Luchasaurus had to say. Jungle Boy was kind of saying he's coming off the biggest match of his career, and this is going to be a big year for the Jurassic Express, all three of them, individually and as a team. And I'm thinking this maybe was not the best way to follow up what Jungle Boy just did at the end of 2019. Maybe a nice matchup. Let the kid get another win. He's got some momentum. He went 10 minutes with the world champion, which is something that they said he couldn't do. And maybe just this little interview segment, I feel like maybe wasn't enough to continue that. Now they're just going to go back to being the Jurassic Express when you have this opportunity now here to really push Jungle Boy. I don't know. We'll have to see where they go with this. But the other thing I have to say is, and you know this is coming, whether you love Marco Stunt or you hate him, and you know that I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, he just doesn't fit with where they have him now. It's almost like they're confirming that he's a sideshow and that he's not to be taken seriously because he doesn't even make sense. This is the Jurassic Express, and you got the Jungle Boy and the Luchasaurus, which would make sense, you know, jungle, dinosaur. So what is Marco Stunt? A caveman? Is he just stupid? Is he a kid who likes to play with dinosaurs and Jungle Boy? Like, why is he with them? I don't like it. I never liked it. I'm one of the people that do not enjoy Marco Stunt as a professional wrestler. I feel like he just doesn't look intimidating, and I'm never going to believe in him beating anybody. And wrestling needs for you to believe. He doesn't let you believe. And he may be talented, and he may be able to do some cool flips and some cool spots, but he's just not worth the investment to me. We had an interview now with Rio backstage, which we already made mention of. Britt Baker interrupted and assaulted Rio verbally for no reason, just because she took a little bit of time off. I didn't understand any of this. It didn't make sense. And I couldn't hear what the response was from Rio because Michael Nakazawa was there to translate, which is a good thing, something WWE doesn't do. They had a translator there, but then they didn't even allow him to translate, and when he did have something to say, we couldn't hear it. So, as I said, still some issues, but they are so close to getting this show to where it needs to be. Hangman Page joined the commentary team for the main event. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks defeated Pac and the Lucha Brothers, and this was fine. This match was a little bit too long. For me, my personal taste, it was a little bit too repetitive, just way too many kicks and knee strikes, just over and over and over again. But I did enjoy the match for the most part, and we had a great main event that featured a big-time win for the Elite, and everybody was criticizing the Elite for putting everybody over and not really getting off on the right foot, and now you got your main superstars getting back on the winning ways, and maybe it's better. Maybe it's better. I don't care who wins or who loses this one. It was an entertaining match. A little bit repetitive for me. But then Cody Rhodes comes to the ring and starts to celebrate with the Elite. And they all turn to Adam Page and they're like, hey, come on, come party with us. And Adam Page is like, nah, I'm good. I didn't do anything tonight. This is all you guys. I'm good. So they're definitely teasing Adam Page turning on the Elite at some point. And that's fine. He's going to have a tag team matchup with Kenny Omega next week, once again facing the Lucha Brothers, which is probably where this turn might go down and send Hangman Page off on a different path outside of his Elite connections, down for the next year of professional wrestling, which is fine. which is absolutely fine for me. This was a really good show, and not many issues with the structure or the timing. They didn't do a lot of important things during the commercial break, which has been happening over the course of the last few months since they started the broadcast. And if they would just fix those little audio blurbs, it would just make this show really be going at 100%. And it would help if I could hear what your guys are saying. I'm sure it would make things a lot better for everybody. I really enjoyed this show. It was a great way to kick off the year for professional wrestling. You know WWE is going to ruin it, so you might as well take the good while you can. And while I do have my modicum of criticisms, that's what this show is for. We tell you guys what's wrong with it. Even when it's a great show, I'm going to bring to light the things that I don't understand or the things that I don't agree with, which is the whole reason why the hammer continues to come down on AEW, although we don't hit it that hard. If you think I was hard on this show, you need to check out a Monday Night Raw review or a SmackDown review, because that's where the hammer's really swinging uncontrollably. And for the most part, the homecoming episode of AEW Dynamite, definitely worth watching. They made some changes to the story, where they're going. There are some things to be concerned about, but the year is just starting. And let's try to start it with a positive mindset. Maybe be optimistic and not be so pessimistic like we usually are. But we're trying. It's a new year, new you. You know? Who knows? But great way to start off the year by AEW. Thank all of you for a fantastic 2019 that's seen Sledgehammer TV rise to well over 2,000 subscribers, and we continue to rise more and more every day thanks to awesome wrestling fans just like you guys. And now is the time for me to ask you, if you enjoyed yourself today, to smash that thumbs up. If I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand some of the things you might have to be concerned about for AEW, smash that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button for more coverage of the world of professional wrestling like nobody else in the world brings to you, as the hammer comes down on every single show, following every single wrestling show all week long. AEW Dynamite is no exception, although they are probably, but NXT's number one, AEW's definitely a solid number two. NXT didn't give us a show this week, so that, kind of makes them get the poop hammer. There was nothing really to give the poop hammer on for AEW, but the poop hammer can go to NXT for giving us a best of show, although the wrestling on that show was phenomenal, because NXT had a great year. Don't forget to get your Sledgehammer TV merchandise, Sledgehammer TV t-shirts, and the Poop Hammer t-shirts, still available. Bonfire.com//Sledgehammer-TV. Get yours. It's a great way to support the channel, just as it is to like, share, and subscribe. Very important to keep this video going and to get the momentum and to keep Sledgehammer TV growing and firing on all cylinders. I need guys like you. So make sure you hit me up. Let me know what you thought about the show in the comment section down below. That, my friends, is going to be the end of our first episode of the year, which is not possible without any one of you guys. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones of all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That's going to do it. We are out of here. We'll see you next time, right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boo.